Hi, this is Kevin with your Daily Forex Report for July 28th, 2011. We are currently looking at the US-Japanese yen pair. In the last session, this pair actually closed up, but the down wick was bigger. That combined with the fact that we're moving downwards overall, you can almost consider this a down candle, but we did actually close up for the day itself. Today, so far in this session, we've actually dropped a little bit, so it's kind of letting me know that we're more than likely going to be moving downwards, but considering the down wick and the fact that it closed up, it kind of signifies a short-term sideways bias. So be a little careful within the next session. Look for it to go as high as 78.60 and as low as 77.33. And look for some support around 77.65 and resistance around 78.28. Alright, moving to the Euro-USD pair. This pair actually had a very large downwards candle within this last session. It actually completely engulfed, the body completely engulfed the body of the previous up candle. So in some situations that can signify a turnaround, basically a start of a new trend downwards. As you'll notice right here, this actually happened as well after a series of up bars. And so it looks like it's beginning to happen again. So we'll keep an eye on this very closely within this next session. Look for it to go as high as 1.4531 and as low as 1.4205, with some support around 1.4287 and resistance around 1.4450. Alright, moving on to our pound US dollar chart. This pair in the last section actually ended up closing down just as the euro chart did, but it didn't close down engulfing the previous candle completely. Just about halfway, maybe a little more than halfway or so. During this next session, look for it to go as high as 1.6457 and as low as 1.6199, with obviously a really hard level down there around 1.6200. The closer you get to those large round numbers, the more of a psychological level it is. Look for some support around 1.6263 and some resistance around 1.6392. Alright, moving on to US Swiss, last but not least. This one actually did close a little bit higher in the last session, and the up wick is actually, or the top wick is actually bigger. So this is a pretty strong up bar for the last session, especially considering the first two bars have closed down quite heavily. So we'll be paying attention to this one in the next session, see if we can actually potentially start to move a little bit higher. Look for it to go as high as 0.8108 and as low as 0.7916. Or 18, excuse me, 0.7918. Look for some support around 0.7965 and resistance around 0.8060. Alright, as far as news announcements are concerned for the 28th, tomorrow at 8:30 in the morning we have continuing claims and initial claims both coming out. So and also pending home sales at 10 a.m. So all of them US based and not super strong market movers, but we definitely could see some movement out of it. So between 8:30 a.m. and 10 a.m. definitely be paying attention to the charts to see if they give any prominent direction based on that news. So before I go, let me switch to the U.S. Japanese yen chart. I kind of want to show you something. If I zoom out a little bit, and this is a daily chart, and I know this covers quite a bit of time, but history likes to repeat itself. So you'll notice back here in this area, we've had terms in the pound US dollar, we've had terms where for quite some time it actually goes sideways, back and forth for a little bit, and then decides to break out one direction or the other. Well, we're starting that sideways pattern again. You'll notice that it's going sideways after the last movement down and up. We're starting to kind of move in a little bit more of a sideways direction. So if you zoom in and take a look at this, you'll notice that we've broken this particular trend line some time ago, and recently we've actually retraced back up and tagged it again. And this is a really nice pattern. Actually, it lets us know that the previous level of support becomes resistance, and the trend can continue down in that direction. So if I zoom in a little bit, I'll let you know what I'll be looking for with this. This being, once again, a daily chart. It's a little bit longer term, but this trend line right here that I'm drawing is actually a pretty steep trend line, and just by nature of this specific chart, the time chart with candlesticks, you'll notice that the open of this candle actually started below that trend line. So it's kind of pretty telltale of a downward motion as well. So I think what I'll do is I'll be watching it to go, if it breaks down, it might not do it in this session, but obviously we're already underneath this trend line, and so if it breaks down below this yellow trend line here, I would look for it to come to approximately around this area, which is the last area that, you know, price tended to gather or could not break through. So that gives us a pretty decent, what I'd like to call, window of opportunity, and it's about 80 pips big. So I'd go for about a third of that, maybe up to a half of that, and really think that that could be a strong trade here within I'd say the next week or so. So we'll definitely keep an eye on that, though in the next session, giving our news announcements and stuff, we very well break through this. So just keep an eye on it and keep this setup in mind when you're looking at this pair within the next couple sessions. Well, that about does it for today. So until next time, this is Kevin. Good trading.